Peace be with you. Oh, that didn't go too well. Oh, well. Let's try something new. I ended up in, greetings from Del Rio, Texas. I found a motel. I actually purposely looked for, I didn't realize I was going to end up being here because I was trying to go explore Brackettville. And I ended up in Del Rio because Brackettville actually was quite small and everything was closed. A lot of things were closed, minus one thing I found, which was really fun, which I want to talk about. I went to a Catholic mass thingy, a liturgy yesterday evening, but I'll talk about that after I talk about this motel, because I've never stayed at like a motel before, and I wanted to pick like somewhere that I would that oftentimes is overlooked or perceived as like grungy or things like that, right? It had like 1 or 2 stars. I'm not quite sure what it had. Bro, this is the coolest place. I am so happy I picked this place. Extraordinary. Like the man that works the front, I talked to him, Nick. He had bought this place 18 years ago with his wife and used to work for a company called JPL. He's Indian. And him and his wife and his children, they were like working, and I guess like to help with family life, to make it, because like the traffic got too much or something like that. They decided, he was like, I decided to pick this place and buy it. And I was like, dude, or move here and buy it or whatever. And I was like, that's extraordinary, right? You're a full grown adult with a whole family, you and your wife, and you decide to go on this whole brand new adventure without any experience into running a motel or a hotel, like a place where people stay. And look what you've done with it. It's so cool. And he does a great job, right? And anyone, right, if you look around the room and stuff, you'd be like, oh, like, you know, is that somewhere you'd actually want to stay? It's so awesome. Look at this, right? Ugh, there's so much like history here. History and stories here. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Right? Look at this. Y'all. Tell me this isn't someone that's like, I have a dream and I'm going to make it work. Or I don't know, these might be original. This is something that I would have made. Okay, I am just so impressed and proud of what he did. And he does a fantastic job. You have everything you need here. It is completely safe. I went out last night. I got in at like, what time did I get here? 7, 8 or something like that. And only $50 to stay here. I was debating between this place and another place, and the other place got higher reviews. So I didn't actually like it. It looked nicer. Actually, no, this place it had like 3 or 4.5 stars, and it only had 2 reviews or something like that I saw online. But I'm going to give it another one. Because I looked at the reviews, the 2 reviews, actually I only looked at 1, but, the person wrote like, hey, when I travel, I like to stay places that are safe, that are affordable, and that provide me the things that I need when I travel. And I was like, sold, I'm going to go there. And I'm so happy I did, because Nick is so sweet. I went to go get coffee, and he let me borrow this cup. He was like, here, you can use this cup. And I said, oh, thank you, instead of using the styrofoam cups. And so now I get to use this. And so in exchange, I'm going to leave these in the room. This is just some like mascara I had and body lotion. So an amenity, just in case anyone like is coming through, they can have that. So anyways, yeah, let me talk about it though. Because, oh, and look, I even have like a legit key. I feel like I'm on a movie set. Is this not cool? So cool. It's so cool. It feels like I'm in a Western Motel, right? I am. So anyways, I was going through Brackettville, and there's actually like a natural spring that was there, so that was kind of cool. That was like across the street from Brackettville. Everything was closed there. I was trying to look for like the restaurants or like a place to stay, right? Everything was closed. So I found a gas station. I was like, hey, is there anything like exciting to see, or is there anything like, you know, that you would recommend to see around here? And I was like, are places normally closed this early? And because it was 3, and he's like, oh yeah, things close at 3 around here. And I was like, oh, or it was like, by this point it was like 5 or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'll just drive around. And I came across the Catholic Church, the Mary Magdalene I don't know what it was called. Is it on here? That church. There was a church. And they had a sign saying Mass 5:30 and the parking lot was full. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it was like 5:25. And I was like, I didn't realize that Saturdays, you can go to church on Saturday in Catholicism. And I was like, well, I got nothing else to do. Everything else is closed, so let me go. And so I went, and actually, to be quite frank, I tried avoiding it because I saw it earlier. Because I got in town at like 4:55. And I took a wrong turn. I found the church, and I saw the 5:30 thing, and I was just like, nah. I thought about it. But then I went to the gas station because I drove around a little more because I was like, nah, I don't want to, I don't really want to go. I don't know anything about it. Like, I have no familiarity with it. This is not enough time for me to even I got my new book, but I haven't even read it. Besides on the front page it says this book belongs to, and I put my name in there. Actually, I put a sticker. And I put a label maker. Okay, anyways, I got off talking. So I went fishing because there was like a natural spring after the gas station lady told me about a natural spring and like this old army base across the street, or old army depot, which was like a time capsule trapped in modern day, or visiting it. It was so cool. The spring was like, there was no one there. There was no one there. It was so peaceful. I found this like old or historic amphitheater made out of like natural, what's it called? Natural rock and stuff. And they had like benches there. Honestly, like, and it was kind of creepy. I assume, right, there was just a cross there, like one wooden cross right in the middle, and everything was overgrown, and it kind of looked like a place where like executions used to occur, right? Because crosses were used for killing people, crucifying people, right? And so the place was overrun, like everything was run down. The grass was really long, and there was like a little like stage with just like this giant cross right in the middle, wooden cross. That was kind of like older, you could tell. And I was like, this definitely looks like a place where people saw like old West executions occur. Someone definitely died here. Like, this is a place where people killed people. It looked like. Those were the vibes, right? It was kind of creepy. But I took a picture of it because it was cool. And so then I went and saw the spring, whatever, and I was like, oh, I'm going to try fishing, because I packed a fishing rod. And I was like, I'm doing this instead of going to the Catholic service. This is so much better. There was no fish, because if you've ever been to a natural spring before, the water is very clear. There was no fish. There were fish, but they weren't biting my bass. There was no bass. I was looking for bass. I wanted bass. And so I was like, ugh. It was like I tried this for like 5:20, 5:25, and I was walking everywhere trying to look for bass. There was none. There was just these little baby fish, and I kept trying to fish. I was trying to play with them too, try to catch them with my bass rig. They wouldn't bite, and so I was like, fine, I will go to the church. So I went to the church, and I'm so glad I did, because it was an opportunity for me to continue facing my fear. And I didn't want to go because I was just like, I don't know anything about it. I have no desire. I have no desire to go there. I'd rather go fishing. I'd rather be in nature. But then I was just like, kept being like, okay, let's go check it out. It's kind of cool, right? Like, I had no idea that Catholics even met on Saturdays. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just go get information to see if you can even go, right? And so I packed up my fishing gear because I wasn't catching anything. And I drove over, right? The town, I could have probably walked. No, it would have been like a little bike ride. It was like 2 minutes to get over there. So I went over there, and I went to the door just to check, right? Because I have the sign on the outside, and it said liturgy, Saturday liturgy. And I was like, oh shoot, what does liturgy mean? And then underneath it, because it said like mass, Catholic, or mass, whatever, on Sunday. And I was like, am I allowed to be here? What does liturgy mean? And a woman was just walking up too with her son. And I was like, oh, excuse me. Like, I'm not a member. I'm unfamiliar with this paradigm. Am I allowed to be here for what is defined as liturgy? Like, is this a thing that anyone can come to? And she was like, oh yeah, you can come in. It's in English. Like, anyone can come in here. And I was just like, oh, is it normally not in English? But I think she was implying like Spanish, which I assumed, because when I went in there was like English and Spanish. And I heard someone behind me talking Spanish. But when I first went in, I was like, okay, cool. So when I first went in, it was like very quiet, and like, it invoked a state of like reverence and sacredness, like almost as if like, hey, there's a threshold that was crossed where it's like, hey, this is a different atmosphere now. This is a place of sanctity and reverence, and it's meant to be like invoke a state of stillness and peace. And so it was very quiet, and all the people were sitting there, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And you can naturally smell a very subtle scent of like an incense or something like that, very, very subtle. And it it truly felt as if it reminded me, honestly, of when I visited Israel and some of the incense and stuff that I smelt, or in like the like tabernacles, or not tabernacles, like the mosques and things like that religions utilize. It was cool. It was really, really cool. And so I didn't want to sit in the back, but I didn't want to sit in all the way front. And I didn't want to walk around, even though I did. I wanted to walk around and look at all the, because they had pictures everywhere. But I didn't want to do that. I was like, oh, I'll do that after. And so I sat kind of like in the middle, because I wanted to be in the experience, immersed in it, but I also wanted to be able to observe others. So I made sure I paid attention to what was occurring. And it was really cool. I was just sitting there, right? I only had like a couple minutes to wait before the service started, but other people trickled in, and it was really cool because they would kneel down and before they walked into the pew. And so many people, you could tell like their level of how they wanted to express. Oh, I'm going to try not to cry. It was so cool to watch. When people express gratitude for just like anything that provides them a source of solace and comfort, and just like thankfulness, being like, I'm so thankful this exists, kind of thing, right? It's just truly remarkable. Like they're truly expressing such like gratitude, being like, this is something significant to me, and I'm so thankful for what it has brought to me in my life. And to witness how people did that, like even just bending down and going into the pews was so cool, because there was a husband and wife that came in, and the husband did it very reverently. It was really cool. And then he got up and he waited till his wife did it. And when she did it, it was like, dude, when you're like curtsying for the queen or something like that, that's what it looked like, both of them. It was so cool. And he let her do it. And she spent just a moment longer dwelling there, as if she had another thought that she was finishing before she went into the pew and stood up. And he stood there, and he didn't sit until she did. And she got up and went in, and then he went in. And I was like, oh, that was beautiful. You two are just like so in love. It was just like, oh, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to see that. Oh, that totally reminds me of something I saw, because I stopped. Anyways, I won't talk about that. Well, I stopped at where the school shooting was in Uvalde to perceive that and observe it and experience it, immerse myself, and just see what humanity has done with the aftermath of what occurred. So that was very unique. But that moment, though, reminded me of like that husband and wife there. Anywho, just sitting there and observing, right? I saw some people were right. Oh, in Catholics buildings, facilities, they have little things at the bottom that fold out, and I thought they were for like foot. I was like, oh, these are like really nice footrests, but I realized they're for kneeling, because I saw some people kneeling down, and it was cool. And they're like fluffy, like they're really nice. They're comfortable, or I assume they're comfortable, right? Because they have padding for the knees. Like much better than just sitting on flat wood, right? Or like on the ground, like hard ground. But certain people, like everyone within the audience, expressed their reverence for and thankfulness and just like respect for being in that place differently. There were some women, like for instance, there's people more towards the front. There was a family where the women had shawls on, or like the coverings over just their head. And it was beautiful. And there's other people that were more casually dressed, like me. Like I was dressed like I was wearing this. I'm re-wearing the clothes that I wore. Even though I packed a to-go bag. I packed an overnight bag this time. I packed, I didn't really pack much. Which I was like, you know what? I'm just going to re-wear this. Oh, and I packed underwear, obviously. And a pen. So, and my toiletry bag, obviously. So, anyways, but I'm just re-wearing the same thing. So I went in there like this. but minus without the coffee stain. I spilt the coffee stain when I was trying to feed pigeons I saw outside when I was carrying my coffee. But yeah, everyone, it was just so cool to see the different styles of everyone, of what they were doing as they were waiting for the service to start, you know? But one thing that did was distracting for me, or not distracting, but I noticed, was there a very low pitched interference frequency, like background noise, white noise. It wasn't white noise. It wasn't pink noise either. It was like, I don't know what kind of noise it would be classified as. You know, like the electronic interference that comes from like speakers, like that low hum. You could hear that in the background. And so that kind of ruined, like, didn't ruin that. I was aware of it. And so it took away from the physical experience of complete stillness and silence because of that background noise. But it didn't take away from perceiving the depths of stillness and peace that were occurring in that facility, if that makes sense to people, right? Seeing and perceiving are two different things. So is hearing and perceiving. Anywho, then the service started. And this is cool, right? Because, again, I'm unfamiliar with everything. And in the... wait, hold on. I'll talk about when I was sitting there still, because I was looking around. And everything was purple. And I realized, because I Googled a little bit afterwards, because there were some things that I was like, oh, it was super cool. I talked about it with ChatGPT, because I was so excited about it. And I talked about all the things I perceived first, because that's how I first tried to process and integrate what I've experienced by talking, usually to myself, because I've known to talk to, or talking to or utilizing ChatGPT or like AI to express myself. And then that allows me to further understand and perceive how I'm understanding myself. And then I go about making these videos, and I learn even more afterwards. It's so much fun. I always learn so many more layers after I've done these videos and articulated my thoughts fully, or to a more expanded depth. But the purple was really symbolic. And I realized, I guess the ChatGPT said, oh yeah, they changed the colors during different times of the year. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's so pretty, right? It just adds a whole nother layer when you can invoke color, like the color and the meaning and the symbolism behind it. It's so cool. But sorry, I was looking at this, right? Like with this, right? Red and blue. I took this little like card that I saw as a I don't know, a souvenir from my trip. Right? Because like the colors do so much, right? Because when you see red and blue like that, you can think police, you can think the Matrix, right? You can take the red pill, you can take the blue pill, you can take both pills, you can take all pills, you know, right? What? So many things get invoked when you see red and blue like that, right? Same with like colors, right? And so for them to change, right now it's purple. And then all of a sudden I learned that it changes to pink in December, right? Like for one period of time, it changes to pink. And I was like, huh, that's cool. That's really unique, because what do purple and pink, right? What do they naturally invoke, if not a feminine sense, right? A feminine presence, a nurturing, a solace, a comfort, right? Something that feels warm, welcoming, right? It's much better, right? Than, well, what colors invoke, I'm not quite sure, actually. Colors invoke different things depending on how you put it, right? Like maybe it wouldn't be as fun to have like red and blue. Or maybe it would, who knows, right? But pink and purple during Christmas, it's fun. Instead of like, I don't know, whatever, brown and hunter green. So that was cool. And then, so when the service started though, I was completely lost. There was I liked it because it was a lot of up and down. But when it got time to the Eucharist, they called the Eucharist. I'm trying to remember all these like nuances. I didn't partake. Like every paradigm, every church, every place of worship that is considered sacred and reverent, that people define as sacred and reverent, um, those places in particular, I don't want to offend nor disrespect the depths of which has been created, and so I don't partake in those things because I don't fully understand it, or I don't fully I haven't been explained nor understand the full layers, and so I don't want to disrespect anyone by partaking in it, right? Because even time when I go to the LDS church, I don't do they call it sacrament or do they call it communion? I forget what LDS calls it, because I think the meeting is actually called the sacrament. Oh, I'm getting my lingo. Whatever. You know, on the bread, the food gets passed around, okay? The food gets passed around. Catholics do that too. They have a food thing, except they line up for it. And I didn't realize, though, when they started that part of the service, everyone gets down on their knees. Because I was like looking at something. I was looking at what was going on. Because they have an altar girl too. That was cool. They have altar boys and altar girls, and there was an altar girl there. And she had it was really cool, and they started walking down at the beginning because I saw her, and I was like, wait, there's a girl! Wait, when did this happen? Oh, I had no idea. And she had like a Laura Croft braid and everything. She looked so badass. It was cool. The boys looked cool too, right? But it's just so unfamiliar for me to perceive women in any sort of role that is beyond an observer in religious paradigms in particular. So it's really cool to me to see that. Because again, like the only time I've ever literally been to a service was back in like 2006, 2007, when I was a teenager. Maybe it was even younger than that. I would have been 2005. Anyways, it was around there. When I was in my adolescence, I asked one of my friends if I can go with her, their family, and my mom was so mad at me. It was so funny, because I was just curious, and I don't remember seeing any females be involved in like the service in the manner of which I saw today or yesterday. So that was really cool, and I didn't remember some of the things that occurred from the service. But again, my memory, like I've noticed there's a very large juxtapose though for certain things that occurred, and I was like, wow, that's so extraordinary. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I researched that actually because I was talking with ChatGPT, and I was like, dude, I saw an altar girl. It was so dope. However, the nuances of what they did, right? Because even the boy held his hands differently than the girl. The boy rang the bell. The boy seemed like more of like they played very distinct roles, even though they were both part of it, like wearing the same things. They were both very involved in very particular ways that were nuanced and obvious with the separation that was occurring. So I looked that up because I was like, dude, it's so extraordinary though that like females, I've never perceived before, when I remember at least, right? The one experience I've had, I've never perceived females, and I was unaware that women were allowed to have that. And they're like, oh yeah, back in 1973, I guess, the church declared that women or females were allowed to be altar thingies, altar children, altar helpers. But I guess it didn't actually pick up until like the 2000s or past the 2000s. Churches didn't actually embrace it. Parishes didn't actually embrace it until like decades later. So actually when I went, it was not common to see females or women, females, yeah, female children involved in the roby stuff, or the pulpit, whatever they're called. You know what I'm talking about, right? And then something else was unique too, because there was something that the church updated and became aware of the depths of its doctrine, and so that was cool, and it involved women as well. Excuse me, I forgot what it was called. Okay, I digress. So I missed the part completely when everyone went to kneeling, because I was just sitting there, just, like this is so cool, right? Just being blown away by everything that I was experiencing and looking around. And then everyone started kneeling, or went to kneeling, right? Because I would stand and whatnot. And when I saw people kneeling, I was just like, I missed that boat, right? Because it's easiest to perceive when everyone's standing, but when they went to kneeling, I was unfamiliar with where they were going. I didn't recognize the movement. This initiation of the movement was going to kneeling. So I just stayed in my seat, and I was like, well, at this point, it's too late to move, because if I move, it's just because I feel left out, but I don't understand why everyone moved. So I'm going to not move, and I'm just going to observe and respect whatever is occurring here. And but boy, was it funny, because I was like, wow, way to make me stand out like a sore thumb. I am the only one still sitting. And then it was even more awkward because there was a dude behind me that was kneeling, and his arm, because I leaned back in my pew, and the dude's or his hands touched my arm, and I was like, oh, my bad. So I kind of scooted over a little bit so he could do his thing. And then when they got up to go line up to get the food, their crackers and wine. I just watched them too. I just stayed in my seat and moved out of the way to let the people go. But the concept, I looked this up though. This was the coolest thing. I didn't realize this. The Eucharist, the concept of it, because literally in the doctrine, I was unaware of this. In the doctrine, they teach that it literally becomes the physical body of a human being. And I was like, wait, what? No. And people, so it's cannibalism. Someone hopefully can clarify this for me, because from how I understood it, from what I researched, right, from what I looked up after it, they literally, it's like a fancy word, trans something, where the food literally becomes flesh and blood of a human flesh and blood, and they consume it, and then after they consume it, it turns back, because when it touches the body and the body starts to digest it, it turns back into food. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of layers there with that. There's a lot of layers, right? First off, to take food and to transform it into human flesh and blood, why does no one not wince, or everyone seems so fine with eating cannibalism? So I'm so curious to see, how does it taste? And I'm actually quite thankful that I didn't go up and do it, because I don't necessarily like the taste of blood. Nor, I mean, sometimes I eat my fingers like this. I do chew on my nails sometimes. So, but the flavor is quite, well, it's my flesh. And it's still kind of gross, right? But wow, to really be willing to drink. And I understand that now. I understand why everyone uses the same cup. They're not drinking wine. They're literally drinking blood. And I was like, bro, that's some hardcore stuff, man. That is some yeah, dude, rock on. That deserves y'all are hardcore Catholics. Badass. I will pass on that though. Cannibalism was usually frowned upon anywhere else, but that's just whoa, that's cool. And the fact that it turns back into nutrient that is less perhaps bad tasting. I don't know. I've never really tasted human flesh like that in the form of a cracker, but it doesn't turn in. It's not a cracker anymore. No, it's not a cracker. It's a wafer. So it's very fascinating. It's very, very fascinating. So I understand why they use red wine now, right? Because it's probably easier to transform that matter, right? Because it's already got the natural color of blood. So it's easier to transform that into literal blood, with the viscosity and stuff like that. And at least the color matches. That, I wonder if it tastes like beef jerky or something. Is it dehydrated? Like human flesh? Is it sushi? Or is it flavored different? Does it taste because everyone's kind of right? If you've ever gotten cut in your finger, you go like this, and you drink the blood or whatever, you taste the blood. Everyone is familiar, I would hope, with like the taste of what blood feels like. They've tasted it before, of their own blood, of some way, shape, or form. It's very rich in iron. It's very, very rich, even just a single drop. So I can understand now why they all just take one sip. But then it really raises concerns about bloodborne pathogens and the fact that they are drinking out of one cup, because that really is a health issue to drink blood like that. Like human blood. It's not usually like, I mean, it's phenomenal that no one's gotten sick, but that it's usually kind of like, look, maybe because it's like sterilized blood. So it's kind of like you give, like when you donate blood and you run through all these tests and stuff. Maybe that's just kind of like innately taught to the priests who are ordained how to ensure, like the ritual, how to ensure that the wine turns into like sterilized blood. So the risk of passing any sort of bloodborne pathogen or like some sort of like illness is decreased. So, wow, I have so many questions on that. I had no idea. Like, again, the fact that the doctrine teaches, I guess they have it outlined somewhere. If someone can clarify for me, I wasn't sure. Whatever was on the internet and Chat GPT, there's some quote, some reference somewhere, and I didn't look it up. But it's called the word, but that's what is practice. And that's just like, I'm so fascinated by it. And I wish I could like I would love to just be sitting in the corner. Like, I wish I could be like an altar girl and sit in the corner or sit by there and watch, like look into the cup and like see what it looks like, like, or what does it taste like? Kind of, I kind of want to see, I want to see it happen, Or does it stay the same texture? Like, does it look the same still as before? And it just tastes different? And if so, like, what does it taste like? What does human flesh taste like? Or like foreign blood, like foreign flesh and blood that, although is human, it's foreign flesh and blood. I believe it's Jesus's blood, or, right? Because I'm pretty sure that's the symbolism, right? Like, how does that taste? Like, did they ever define, like, where? I bet it's probably, like, if I were to eat, I don't know. I'm trying to think, because I'm looking at this. If I were to eat a human body part that I saw, what would taste the best? I would think some type of muscle that was, like, I don't know. I think maybe, like a thigh bone, or like, I don't know, like a flank steak. Ribs kind of seem gross. I don't want to, because like human ribs are kind of like, I don't know which part I would eat. And I would most certainly want it cooked, or at least dehydrated with maybe like a little bit of like spice in there, like a beef jerky. I do like beef jerky, or maybe like a chili, like a ground, or like a burger type style, like flavoring. Maybe ground would be better, because then you could just utilize, like with other animals, that produce that humans eat and how they create it, like a human dog instead of a hot dog, right? Because if you make a hot dog, there's all sorts of random things that are just thrown in and ground up, like ground meat. So maybe actually I would take ground human, like a ground burger. If I were to pick that. Or maybe it's up to the person to decide the flavor profile that they choose as to which part of the body they ate. Again, so many questions. I have no idea. It's just so fascinating to me. Anywho, at the best part, at the end of the service, right, he was ending it and saying the thank you to everyone. A little girl raises her hand. She kind of like goes like this. And I was like, is this a thing? Like, is anyone else? Like, 'cause sometimes in churches, they hold their hands up when they're receiving whatever, right? Or expressing thanks or gratitude. It's part of their expression, right? Of expressing reverence and stuff. And this little girl was like just holding her hand, just one hand up. And I looked around, I was like, no one else is holding a hand, but she kind of was holding it like this. And so I was like, okay. She's raising her hand because she kind of like, but the priest was talking, and her name was Sophia. And he says, yes, Sophia, after he finishes. And she was like, Oh, that's funny. I have a birthday cup. She was like, it was my birthday. And he was like, what? And he's like, it was my birthday. It's my birthday. And the mom was like, oh, her birthday just happened. And then he was like, oh, come up, Sophia. Come here. Because I guess you get a birthday blessing. And so he came up and he put his hands out and he gave her the blessing or like a prayer, and people were putting their hands out too and just like blessing her for her birthday. It was really cool. And then afterwards, the best part is, right? This was such the cool part. This is the coolest part to end it. Because after all this beautiful and sacred and reverence that they did, he stopped and turned her around and was like, no, don't go back yet. And he started the happy birthday song. And everyone chimed in, and that was the most that anyone sang, because not many people sang the hymnals, even though they had them listed, right? I didn't hear many. Or like the singing and everything was very like subdued, very subtle, very, very not emotionless, but like subdued, retracted, restrained emotional expression. But then when they started to sing the happy birthday song, oh man, I was like, happy birthday. That was the one song I knew. So maybe that's why I felt that way, because I got to contribute. I got all into it and everyone was singing and then we all clapped. Oh, it was so cool. And then after that, what was even better, when she came back to her seat, right? Because she had to stand up. This little girl was like, she was very nervous standing in front. Because you know how scary it is to walk up there in front of the entire room, the entire congregation, and she stood up there for a hot minute because the dude said a long blessing to her. He went for a hot minute. And she was just like half turned towards the audience, and he was trying to turn her towards everyone or turn her whatever, and she like couldn't do it. She was like scared. It reminded me of me when I first, whenever I like went up to do public speaking, was just like scared and like farted when I was little, right? Or like banged it and dropped the microphone and didn't say anything. Oh, I've come a long way, right? After she went back, it was so cool because when he went back up there, this was the coolest thing. He said, this is how he ended it. Thank you, Sophia, for being so brave and courageous and raising your hand and speaking up and sharing that with us. That is so inspiring, to be so brave and to be so young. And then he was like, we can learn from Sophia, or something like that. He just made sure to compliment and make her aware that he appreciated and was proud of her for showing, like facing her fears, being brave to like raise her hand like that and come up there like that. And I was just like, that's cool. And then after the service ends, they like kind of like walk out and he stands there at the back and greets everyone as they come out. And I was like, that's really cool. Not a single person got to escape that place without receiving a hug from him. He hugged everyone, even me. But I made sure, because I was walking around looking at stuff, I made sure to talk to Sophia and say happy birthday to her. She turned 14. And I didn't get to talk to her more, right? Because I was a complete stranger. But I just made sure to say, happy birthday. What an extraordinary, good for you. I said, you're so big, 14. I thought she was younger than that. She was so small and just like so young. I said, oh my goodness, you're growing up too fast. It was adorable. She was glowing, man. She was proud of herself for doing that. It was cool. Anyways, after I left, when I was going out, he would give people like a handshake and then a hug, and I was like, he started going for it, and I was like, I don't know, I'm going for a hug. So I went for a full hug. He was giving mostly people like kind of half hugs, and I was like, no, I don't know, that was so good. I gave him a big hug. And I was like, truly inspiring. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and to observe and to experience this. And can I get a picture with you? Because this was truly special for me. And he was like, okay. Like I don't think he really understood about how excited I was. He thought it was weird. He was like, why do you want a picture with me? And I was like, because this is so cool. Oh, so amazing. Because it was just so inspiring, right? To see anyone get up there and to share words of inspiration and hope to help teach and spread understanding to those that are seeking learning, right? It's just like to get to practice himself to learn and understand more simultaneously while he is teaching others to learn and understand more. It's so cool. It's just like a beautiful giving and receiving simultaneously. And I will say it was really cool watching when they did the cups and stuff, when they were done with the Eucharist, how he folded everything and how quiet it was. His movements, it was like watching someone like a master and expert of origami, of manipulating and playing with matter, just seamlessly do things with their, like, actions with their hands, as if like they've been doing it for centuries. It was so cool. It was so cool to see. Okay, that's good enough. But dude, that's why I love exploring existence. Because after that ended, and that's when I ended up going to Del Rio, because there was nothing open. There was no place for me to sleep. And I didn't feel like going to stay in the army barracks over there, because there was no restaurant, there was no food to eat, and I didn't want the pizza. There was one pizza place, and then there was like tacos in the gas station, but I wanted to try something different. So I went to Del Rio. So now I'm here, so I'm gonna go explore now. I got a couple things. This place, Seminole Canyon, I guess you can read the oldest books in North America. Okay, why wouldn't I want to do that? I love books, right? The first books, technically, rock art, right? How drawings on rocks. And then there was a winery. I was gonna get I wanted to go get a bottle of wine for my neighbor, because she's like working on her level 3 psalm. Which, to be quite frank, she should open her own tasting room. She wants to like open her own tasting room or something. And I'm like, why aren't you doing it? You don't need a level 3, man. You need to just go pull the trigger. You know that test, but oh my God, it's so funny hearing all the hoops she had to jump through with the organization to even get her level 3 sommelier. I forget, like the sommelier, like everything about wine, right? This woman is a walking wine connoisseur. Like, she knows everything better. Like, she scolded the test people because they were being completely disrespectful for her time and efforts, and like helping, like they are terrible at like administering their own test. Like, yeah, she anyways, I wanted to get her a bottle of wine, but they're closed. So anyways, and then this place is also like a dark sky sanctuary, which I love, because there's certain places across the world that literally communities are denoted as dark sky communities, which, to be quite frank, they're still not dark compared to the natural existence and the state of which darkness, actually, the heavens were meant to be viewed from the earth, at least by man's perception and sight. However, it's as good as you can get, right? So this is one of the dark sky communities, where, again, it's not as much light pollution from man, and you can just see like the sky just looks, oh my gosh, it inspires so much awe and wonder. I remember the first time I saw the sky clearly, it was just like, you can see the band of the Milky Way, and just like thousands of sparkling, like sparkling, shimmering glitter on a sea of darkness, and like the purest form of black. Oh, it was so remarkable. It inspires the imagination, being like, holy cow. Like the deepest shades of like blues and purples, almost like kind of in the galaxy, like especially the light arm in contrast to the arm of the Milky Way galaxy, what is defined as the Milky Way galaxy, the band that goes across the sky, that is imperceivable. There are so many humans on this planet that have no idea what I'm even talking about, because they've never even seen it with their naked eye, because it's impossible because of the light pollution. So it gets a little easier to perceive it with this, but if you look at all the pictures and stuff that people develop, they've had to enhance it in order to even perceive it to its full extent, because of light pollution. That would be the greatest thing ever if the world decided, for once in its existence and of modern time, of modern invention and innovation, to respect and honor existence itself and turn off all the damn lights at night. Turn off the power and truly perceive the awe and wonder of the cosmos as it was designed to be seen. But, whatever. Discovery, innovation, light. People love the lights. So, all right. That'll be done. Peace be with you. I'm going to go explore now.